What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel for another awesome modded build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, because today we're building the ultimate College of Dance Thunderbard who dances so hard that our enemies don't stand a chance against our dance. This build is going to dance so hard that the weave itself crackles open and releases tons of thunder damage and leaves our enemies with dizzying effects that they simply just won't know how to handle. Before we get into it, thank you so much for watching. If you like build guides like these, let me know by liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more modded build guides for Baldur's Gate 3. If you would do something differently with this build, tell me in the comments down below so we can talk theory crafting. But without further ado, let's hop right into the build. First of all, we need a few mods in order to build this character. Most obviously, we need the College of Dance Bard subclass, which is also available for console, so that we can get our dancing abilities. For some additional thunder spells, we're going to supplement our kit with the Mistress Spells mod as well. We're also going to be using a few musical instruments mods, but these are mostly for cosmetic purposes. We want to use the Ember's Lute mod because this is an excellent addition that spices up our instruments and makes our performances so much cooler looking. If you want to add even more musical instrument flavor, we can use the Instruments as Weapons mod by Buko Moon, which provides us with a new set of instruments that we can equip in our weapon slot and gives us a cantrip-like ability that deals thunder damage. But now, we'll get to leveling up our Dancing Thunder Bard. Starting at level 1, we are taking the Bard class, obviously. Bard doesn't get its subclass until level 3, so at level 1, we don't have too much to worry about. For our first two cantrips, we want to start with Vicious Mockery, because I love calling random NPCs ugly, and we're also going to be taking Thunderclap, which is a spell from Mistress Spells. This one has a pretty small range, but if we find ourselves in close proximity to our enemies, this is a fun thunder damage spell for us to be able to use to just do thunder damage. Because this is a Dancing Thunder Bard subclass, we are going to RP a lot of our thunder spells to pretend that Thunderclap is effectively us like doing a little dance that then claps a bunch of thunder damage in an area around us. Really fun. We can thunderclap our thighs together, whatever you want to do. For our spells, we are going to start by taking Thunder Wave, Healing Word, Long Strider, and Disguise Self. Thunder Wave is our first big thunder spell and pushes enemies back. We're going to RP that this is our dance moves being so stellar and so powerful that people are literally taken aback when we tap dance right up in their faces. Healing Word is a spell that does healing and is a great use for our bonus action because it is always nice to have a bonus action ability to use. Long Strider is excellent because it is a fantastic buff that gives us an additional 3 meters of movement speed until long rest. And one of our College of Dance bonuses is going to be increased movement speed, so now we have even more, which we can use to dance across the battlefield incredibly quickly. We're also going to take Disguised Self because it's just great to have in our party and allows you to change into whatever race or gender you want to. I tend to use this spell a lot in the early game to turn myself into a drow so that I can just kind of sneak through basically any encounter that I want to, especially at the goblin camp. You can go anywhere as a drow. For our bard starting instrument, we are going to choose a hand drum because boom, thunder damage. Because we have the instruments as a weapons mod installed, it adds a repeat set of our instruments here. And among this set, the second set is the one that we want to choose for the mod. This one is going to enable us to turn our hand drum into a weapon if we so decide to. We could also use it as a regular instrument, so because we have the mod installed, we're going to go ahead and grab the second iteration of hand drum here. For our ability scores, we want to take a 16 in charisma because it's our spellcasting modifier, and this character is still ultimately a spellcaster, but one who casts spells by banging a drum and dancing really damn hard. We also want a 16 in our dexterity stat because our subclass is going to get a cool unarmed attack reaction that scales off of dexterity, and this will also give us a boost to our armor class, which is extremely useful because we don't wear armor with this build, since it's kind of hard to dance while you're wearing armor. We want to take a 14 in our constitution stat for concentration saves and the HP bonus. We want to take a 12 in wisdom for the mental saving throws, and we are going to dump our intelligence and strength stats at both 8 because this character doesn't really need them. So because this character does unarmed attacks, you might be tempted to pump your strength stat and use Tavern Brawler or strength potions, but our unarmed attacks will rely on our bardic inspiration dice, so we don't want to rely on it for damage because we can then only use it the amount of times that we have bardic inspiration dice in combat. At level 2, we get access to our Jack of all trades buff and our Song of Rest. And for our new spell, we are going to be going with Earth Tremor from Mistress Spells. This spell makes the area around your character into a muddy, difficult terrain and forces enemies to be knocked prone on a dexterity save. And for this build, we're going to RP that our dance moves knock our enemies prone and make it difficult for them to stand back up in difficult terrain because we dance so hard that the ground is just made of mud now. At level 3, we get our subclass, the College of Dance. This subclass grants us a bunch of really cool features, including advantage on performance checks and the ability to dance instead of just playing our instrument. This is useful for the same reason as performance with our instrument, to distract NPCs and such throughout the game. We also get defensive footwork, which makes our armor class 10 plus our dexterity and our charisma modifiers. So with 16s in both without wearing armor, we now have 16 armor class at the beginning of the game at level 3, which is really awesome and a great way to start as a spellcaster. We also get agile strikes, which gives us our new use for our bardic inspiration. Every time that we use bardic inspiration in combat, we get a free bardic unarmed attack, so we can just sneak in a little punch in the middle of our dance moves while enemies are focused on our righteous feet. Our unarmed attacks will also now scale with dexterity, which is really great. We get that on account of Dance of Death dexterous attacks, so really awesome. For our spell, we want to take Shatter because 1, it does great AoE thunder damage, and 2, we can RP that our dance moves are so powerful that we can just shatter our enemies at range. We can do a little ditty, and someone 18 meters away is going to get shattered. At level 4, we're going to get access to a new cantrip, and at this level, we are going to take Minor Illusion, because it is a great utility spell that is just really awesome to have. For our next leveled spell, we are going to be taking Enhance Ability, because this is another really great utility spell that is awesome for passing random dialogue checks, or passing really anything that you need to give to any of your companions or yourself to be able to just pass any dice roll that you want to. And for our feat at level 4, we are going to be starting with an ability score increase to bring our charisma up to an 18. Easy choice, really good. At level 5, our Bardic Inspiration gets taken to the next level as it now recharges on a short rest on account of the Font of Inspiration ability. Additionally, because we are a bard, we have an additional short rest on account of our Song of Rest, and our Bardic Inspiration dice also increases from a 1d6 to a 1d8, so we're doing even more bonuses to it. For our spells, we gain access to level 3 spells, and the one that we want to take here is called Discordant Melody. This one is from Mistress Spells and allows us to do 4d6 thunder damage to all creatures in a 9-meter range around our character. It uses concentration, and we can recast it for 5 turns, sort of like Call Lightning and other similar spells that are concentration, and you can recast it like Witch Bolt. This one just does thunder damage instead in a giant AoE. We now have a massive AoE damage spell for our dance moves. We can just dance really hard and everything goes crazy around us. Tons of damage, really fun. At level 6, we get Counter Charm, which if you've played a bard before, you know is meh. But we do get Inspiring Movement, which is an awesome ability. When an enemy comes within melee range of us, we can use our reaction and our Bardic Inspiration dice to increase our movement speed by half, avoid opportunity attacks, and we can also pass on the same effects to one of our allies. So it effectively allows us to disengage anytime that one of our enemies comes near us, and lets a martial ally do the same. We can give them another big boost so that they can get closer and help us get away. However powerful dancing is, we are still a little bit squishy, because when you're dancing on the battlefield, what do you expect? You can do as much magic as you want, but we are still a spellcaster who is just dancing around, casting spells with our feet. We also get access to Tandem Footwork. Inspire your allies with graceful and agile footwork, showing them how to mimic some of your moves to better prepare for the coming dangers. Using your Bardic Inspiration, you can increase their initiative by 2 at the start of the next combat. After the end of the next combat, this effect will expire. So you can use this once per combat. You can apply it just as a buff, and then every one of your allies will get a 2 initiative bonus, and this lasts until the end of that combat. So you can basically just cast this ability, give your party a +2 to your initiative, go into combat, have the effect wear off, do a short rest to regain your Bardic Inspiration dice, and then cast it again. Boom, easy. For our spell, we are going to be taking the 3rd level spell, Glyph of Warding, as another big AoE spell that can also do thunder damage. This one we're going to RP as a trap that we lay that is filled with latent dance power, because why not? At level 7, we get access to 4th level spells, and the main one that we want here is Freedom of Movement. Snap an ally out of any stun, difficult terrain, can't slow them down, and they can't be magically paralyzed or restrained. This is a really awesome buff spell that will give us even more movement ability to help keep us dancing at all times. At level 8, we are going to get access to another 4th level spell, and at this level, we are going to be taking Dimension Door, because it is another great utility spell. Additionally, at level 8, we get a feat, and for our feat, we are going to be taking Warcaster. Since our Discordant Melody spell is concentration, this is going to help us maintain concentration if we get attacked, so we don't waste our spell slot. This feat is going to give us advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell, so we're just going to be able to keep it going. That way we don't get 1 turn out of our 5-turn spell. At level 9, we get access to 5th level spells, and you can take whatever you want here. There's not a ton of things that are super useful for us because there's not really any thunder damage options. It's mostly utility. So because of that, you can really go with whatever you want. I am going to take Mass Cure Wounds because it is a really great heal spell that is awesome to have on any character in your arsenal. And if we need a really big heal, this is a really great one to be able to have, to be able to just pass out a big, massive healing to all of our allies. At level 10, we're going to get a nice big boost. This is probably the best level that bards will get access to, because at level 10, we get access to, more than anything, our magical secret spell list, but we'll get to that in a minute. The first thing that I want to note here is we get access to our improved tantrum footwork, which previously was giving our allies a +2 to our initiative, is now giving us a +3 to our initiative. If you combine this with some other initiative boosting items, then you can get a really nice boost to your initiative here. And because of this, we are not going to be taking the alert feat at any point on this character, just because we don't really need to that much. You can still get surprised, but we have enough of initiative boost that it's not a terrible problem for us. For our cantrip, we are going to be taking Mage Hand because it is a great utility spell. Enough said. For our new spell, I am going to be taking Hold Monster because it is the other one that I wanted to take last time, but it's a really great spell to have. Another great utility that is just going to help our marshals do even more damage. And now we can take a look at our magical secrets. With mystery spells installed, this is a ginormous list to sift through. Honestly, because we are a dancing thunder bard, we want to focus on stuff that does thunder damage and feels kind of dancey. If you want to play this character with normal weapons and not use your instrument, then Booming Blade is a fantastic option to take because you can hit your enemy with a bunch of thunder damage, and if they move, then they're going to take a bunch of thunder damage in addition. But more than anything, by the later parts of the game, by the time that you're level 10 and getting this cantrip, it's going to give you a huge boost. The bonus thunder damage that we can do, that we can infuse our main attack with, is going to make ourselves much more effective in melee range and is truly invaluable and pushes this build even farther than it was before. Thunderous Smite is also on this list, but I'm not going to bother with it since it uses a bonus action and an action, and we would like to use our bonus action for other things. Although it doesn't do thunder damage, Counterspell is a great choice to grab from the Magical Secrets list, and one that I'm actually going to take just because I love having Counterspell available to us. You could also take something like Armor of Agathis, which would be useful for some extra defensive abilities and retaliatory damage because we're not wearing armor and we're a little bit squishy. Slow is a great control spell that makes our enemies really bad at dancing, if you want to think of it that way. If you look at all the different options for Mr. Spells, there's some really cool stuff in here like Pulse Wave, and Summon Greater Demon, and Elemental Bane, which is really cool. There's even Astral Disjunction, which is a sort of counterspell that banishes enemies. So that's really cool, but it uses a 5th level spell slot, and I prefer counterspell, so I'm just gonna go with that. You could also take Spirit Guardians, because that would mix very well with this build. We're gonna be using an item that applies an effect on radiant or thunder damage, so you could use radiant if you wanted to, but because I am going to be using this specific sword here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of melee there, I am going to grab the Booming Blade. At level 11, we get access to 6th level spells, and I think this College of Dance build would be a total sham if we didn't take Otto's Irresistible Dance. Cause a creature to start dancing, making it unable to take actions or move. Its attackers have advantage on attack rolls. So I mean, really, we're a College of Dance bard. I think it makes more sense than anything to take a spell that our dancing is so infectious that it causes enemies to dance uncontrollably, and then we get advantage on our attack rolls against them, and our whole party does. So this is obvious. We're going to take Otto's Irresistible Dance. At level 12, we get a new ability called Leading Evasion, which grants us an awesome damage reduction on dexterity saving spells. It makes it so that when we get hit by a spell or effect that would deal half damage on a successful dexterity saving throw, it deals no damage if we succeed and only half damage if we fail. So we're never going to take full damage from a fireball or any other dexterity saving throw spell again. This is really awesome. We could potentially even totally dodge a fireball if it hits us and we pass the saving throw. So that's really awesome. And even better, we can automatically share this benefit with any allies within 3 meters. So if we were able to apply this buff to our allies, and now they can completely dodge because our dancing is so powerful and we're so nimble that we can avoid fireballs, and we can also help our allies avoid fireballs. For our spell, you can take pretty much whatever you want. There isn't much else we need for 6th level spells because the bard doesn't get access to anything really crazy besides Eye Bite, but we don't really need Eye Bite because doesn't really fit into this build very well. So ultimately, the spell that you choose here is up to your discretion. I am going to be taking Greater Invisibility just because I didn't take it before, and it is a really awesome utility spell to have, to be able to have invisibility. And for our final feat, we are going to be taking the Elemental Adept Thunder option, because this is going to ignore thunder resistance for all of our spells and attacks, and also prevents us from rolling a 1. So overall, this is going to give us a nice, really big damage boost to all of our thunder attacks, which is pretty much all of our spells and all of our attacks. But that pretty much does it for the leveling of this character. Let's hop out and take a look at some gear for this Dancing Thunderbard. So, because this bard is dealing primarily in thunder damage, and most of our spells and attacks are going to do thunder damage, we are going to be using a no-brainer hat here called the Hat of Storm Scion's Power. When the wielder deals thunder damage, they gain arcane acuity. Additionally, because of all this thunder damage, we are going to be using the Gloves of Belligerent Skies. When the wearer deals thunder damage, lightning, or radiant damage, inflict 2 turns of reverberation upon the targets. So, because we're pretty much always dealing thunder damage, we're going to be always afflicting our enemies with this reverberation. And reverberation is really great because if you have never used it before, affected entity has a -1 penalty to strength, dexterity, and constitution saving throws per remaining turn. When the entity has 5 or more turns of reverberation, it takes 1d4 thunder damage and possibly falls prone. This condition is removed afterward. Creatures are immune to thunder damage can't receive reverberation, so most enemies are not going to be immune to thunder damage until you get to some parts of Act 3 where it's mostly just the fight against Gortash. But regardless, the main thing that we're going to be able to do here is apply a bunch of different stacks of reverberation so that we can knock our enemies prone. We're going to dance so hard that they get knocked prone and that they have a difficult time, they're kind of dazed, and then to go off of that even more, we're going to be using the Thunderskin Cloak. When a creature with reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw or become dazed. So if an enemy that we have reverberated comes up to us and tries to hit us, they're going to have to attack. They're going to have to take a Constitution saving throw, which, because of the reverberation, has a -1, potentially -5, 6, 7 to it. And that is going to make them more likely to become dazed. And when our enemies become dazed, they will have disadvantage on wisdom saving throws, can't take reactions, and lose the dexterity bonus to their armor class. That's really awesome. We're also going to combine the effects of those two things with when the wearer afflicts a condition upon a hostile creature, they also inflict 2 turns of reverberation. So the great thing about this is that because reverberation counts as a condition that we are applying to our hostile creatures, we're going to apply double reverberation off of it, which is really great. So we're going to apply those stacks really quickly. And then when an enemy falls prone, because prone is also a condition that will inflict another 2 turns of reverberation, it's a compounding effect that is really, really powerful. Additionally, with part of the reverberation, we're going to be using the Ring of Spiteful Thunder. When the wearer deals thunder damage to a reverberating creature, it becomes dazed unless it succeeds a Constitution saving throw. So this is going to make it so that not only do enemies have the chance to become dazed by attacking us, but just when we do our thunder damage in general, it will also just make enemies dazed unless they pass the Constitution saving throw. So we're going to be dazing enemies with a lot of our just anything we do, basically. We're also going to be using the Ring of Arcane Synergy. When you deal damage with a cantrip, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. This is really great, especially since we're doing spell damage in combination with some melee damage, because Arcane Synergy is different from Arcane Acuity in the sense that weapon attacks will deal additional damage equal to affected entity's spellcasting ability modifier, which for us is a +4, so we're going to gain a +4 to all of our weapon attacks, which is just really nice to be able to have and helps do even more damage. Additionally, we're going to use the Amulet of Thunderous Voice. This amulet comes to us from a mod, the Song and Steel Bard Equipment mod by Graphic Fade, and is going to allow us to do some really great things with our weapon. Your voice carries with an unnatural force, infusing your weapon attacks with sonic power. Your weapon attacks deal additional thunder damage equal to your charisma modifier. So as a result of this, we get a nice big boost of 4 thunder damage just for free on top of our weapon attacks. So really great. And it also ignores resistance, which is even more powerful, or it ignores resistance because of our elemental adept. So that's really awesome, and is going to help us apply thunder damage with our weapon attacks so that we can apply our reverberation stacks with it. If you don't want to use the Amulet of Thunderous Voice from that mod, you could also use the Sentient Amulet, which is really great and gives us a free use of Shatter. It also comes with the Key Restoration ability, which isn't super useful for us because we're not a monk class. We don't have Key, but the Shatter spell is really great. Otherwise, there's not really many other amulets that really benefit from this class. Alternatively, you could use the Spine Shudder amulet, which is in the base game, and when the wearer deals damage with a ranged spell attack, inflict 2 reverberation upon the target. You could possibly use this to inflict even more stacks of reverberation, but because we're using the boots and the gloves, we are going to be doing 4 turns of reverberation per attack, so we don't really need the extra stacks of reverberation. We're going to be applying them pretty frequently as it is. You could use this though if you wanted to do more, but I decided that I wanted to go with the Amulet of Thunderous Voice from the mod because I love having the extra thunder damage to our weapon. We're also going to be wearing the Graceful Cloth as our main armor piece because it is clothing, so it was going to give us the bonus from our armored defense. Is going to also increase our dexterity score by 2, which is going to give us an additional +1 to our armor class, and we are going to increase our jump distance and get a +1 bonus to dexterity saving throws to help us even further dodge all of that. And at the end of the day, from all of those things, we're going to get a 10 as our base armor class, +4 from dexterity, +4 from charisma, and we're going to have an 18 total, which is really awesome to have on a caster. For our weapons, we're going to be using the Phalar Aluve, which is pretty much the de facto bard longsword to be able to use in the game. You get the Phalar Aluve in the Underdark, and it is really great because it adds the Phalar Aluve Melody ability, which is really fun. The ability for Phalar Aluve, called the Phalar Aluve Melody, is going to give us the Sing or the Shriek option. If you've used this weapon before, you're very familiar with what these do. But when you use the Sing, the sword sings a melody. All allies within 6 meters of range have a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and charisma, wisdom, and intelligence saving throws. And the sword will stop singing if unequipped. We're going to have this equipped at all times, so this is really great and is going to give us a bonus. But the thing that we really want to go with here is the Shriek. The sword shrieks. All enemies within 6 meters of range have a 1d4 penalty to charisma, wisdom, and intelligence saving throws. Affected creatures receive an extra 1d4 of thunder damage, and the sword will stop shrieking if unequipped. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the Phalar Aluve Shriek ability at the beginning of combat, which is going to apply an additional instance of thunder damage, and is also going to give our enemies the 1d4 penalty to their saving throws, which is really awesome. And after we have this applied, we're then going to do our spells and do everything, and everybody within that range is just going to get shut down immediately. They're going to be so confused by the fact that a sword is screaming at them, and we're just dancing around, having the time of our lives, because why not? And then our dances are going to be so powerful that it's going to send them flying, and they're going to go crazy. For our ranged weapon, you could do pretty much whatever you want. I grabbed the Narrow-Misser here because it is a great option to be able to have when we do our ranged attacks. You could do whatever you want. That pretty much takes care of everything for the gear. Let's go ahead and see how this fares in combat. So before we get into combat, we want to make sure that we start by applying our Longstrider, which is just going to be our fun buff that's going to give us some extra movement speed. We're going to give it to our allies too. I have Cosmic Sorcerer Gale and Demon Hunter Karlach here because I need them as backup, because this character is really a support more than anything. As a support class, we definitely want to have allies with us pretty much at all times. This is not really a class that I would solo the game with. We're also going to use our Bardic Inspiration to give ourselves and our allies improved tandem footwork. So we now are going to have a boom. We're going to have a +3 to our initiative. Really awesome. And that's going to help us go first. We're also going to apply Leading Evasion. So this spell is primarily an aura that is going to apply to ourselves at all times and anyone who is within 3 meters of us. So because Karlach is being affected by it right now, if we send her down here, well, they're connected. So she's going to, if we bring her back up here, she loses the aura, as you can see, and now no longer has the effect of it. So it's mostly just going to help our allies when we're in combat to be able to help them pass things. If they're standing very near to us, they're going to have a nice boost to their dancing skills. But that's pretty much all the buffs for this class. Let's go ahead and pop ourselves over to some combat and see what we can do. Run, baby, run. So we're going to start combat by attacking one of these fist guys. We used Karlach to do it because that is just how we want to roll. And now that we have started combat, let's grab our Bard here and let's do... What do we have? Let's start with our Thunder Wave. We're going to do a big ol' Thunder Wave here. Let's do a 3rd level. And let's hit these 3 guys here so that we can get some Reverberation stacks kicking. Boom. We also now have 2 stacks of Arcane Acuity. So we are cooking there. And we have applied 2 stacks of Reverberation. This guy is displaced. This guy has 4 stacks of Reverberation and also Dazed. So that is really awesome. They got Dazed in addition. Really cool. And then we're going to have our character run back over here a little bit. And let's have them start dancing, just because why not? We're going to come over here, actually, to dance, because I'm expecting a volley, and I don't want to be in their area. And let's dance. This doesn't give us any combat bonuses, but now we're just dancing in combat, because why the hell not? It's all part of the roleplay, so let's go ahead and do it. Now let's see what Karlach can do. She's going to go ahead and kill this guy. And then she's going to kill this guy. This Demon Hunter Karlach is an absolute beast. Now let's see what Gale wants to do. Gale is going to also use Booming Blade, but he's going to do it on this guy. That's a miss, but that's okay. Oh, nice. We saved on the bomb, so we're still dancing. Heck yeah. Miss. That's okay. He hit us with 3 attacks. Where'd you get 3 attacks from? Nice. Slipped on something. Enemies get reverberated just from standing in our area, which is really great. Now it is Beefly's turn, so let's see what we can't do here. Let's do another Thunder Wave, and we're going to upcast it to level 2 this time, just because I don't want these guys to be anywhere near me. So let's go ahead and pop it. Boom. This guy got displaced and hit, and this guy is still prone and dazed. Really cool. And let's get back to dancing, because that is what we do. Boom! We bring the boom to you! Karlach's turn. Let's have her smack somebody. Do it again. And now let's get this guy. She's a true master. Don't touch me. You son of a gun. Gale, don't let me down. Let's have Gale do a comment, because these guys are pissing me off. Kill these 3 right here. Please. And because he's got that pyro hat on, the other extra bonus action. Let's telekinesis here. Send this guy flying. Woohoo! They've also been reverberated on account of coming in close to our character. We're going to use our Booming Blade so that we can hit this guy, because I really don't like him. Nice. Let's do another attack here, because we can. Now he's dazed, and what that means we can do is run away a little bit. And we're going to run... we're going to run over here, because I can, and I don't want to be near them. And then we're going to dance. Hey, let me dance. Then we're going to dance. Woohoo! I'm just off by myself, doing my thing. What you going to do, Karlach? Karlach's going to come take advantage of this guy being prone. Thank you to our bard for knocking them on the ground. Bang, bang, boom. Now, Gale, what you gonna do? We're gonna get this guy taken care of, and then take care of him. Thank you, sir. And now that it is Beefly's turn again, we're gonna have her slide on over here. Let's actually, you know what? I think this this combat wouldn't be complete if we didn't come over here and make this guy dance. Ha 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 ha. Now it is you who is in trouble. Dance, my child. Dance. I'm going to enjoy this. Get him, Karlach. Thank you for making him dance. But that right there pretty much does it for this College of Dance Thunder Bard that dances so hard and passes out reverberation for all of our enemies, makes them fall prone because we've danced so hard that they just don't know how to handle it. They get blown back, they get crazy damage, and then it sets up our other allies to be able to come in and just wail on them all they want, because this character is a fantastic support that just allows us to do a bunch of really cool things and apply a bunch of thunder damage and just have a lot of fun dancing while we play the game. So let's just go ahead and get some dancing. Is there anything else that you guys would do differently with this build? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video.